Okay. Nice entry, mate. I thought you were going to give me a few minutes there. I'm quite ready for you.
Do you think? Let's do that again.
No, that's okay. Come back. We'll kick off. Come back. Okay, welcome everyone. We've got a couple of schools watching on today, and we've got a few individuals as well. So welcome everyone to our Meet the Social Entrepreneur webinar. Welcome Dom, the social entrepreneur on the spot today. We're going to be putting a few questions to you and picking your brain because Dom, we actually have a whole, groups of young people that are going to be starting their own social enterprise. So they're going to use you as a bit of an expert to figure out, maybe get some ideas from and figure out why you got involved yourself in social enterprise. Before I start, I would like to acknowledge that I am coming to you today from Doodaroa country in Beechworth, Victoria. So just pay my respects to the traditional owners of the land and their elders past and present. And Dom, who are the traditional owners of where you're coming from in Torquay?
The Wadawurrung people, Tommy.
Wadawurrung, beautiful. So pay our respects to them too. And feel free to type in the chat as we go. You can put questions in. You can type in the traditional owners of the lands from where you're coming in from, just to let everyone know that. The chat function should be open to everyone. And please put in any questions to Dom as we kick on. So, Dom, I'm going to give you a little introduction and then you can talk about yourself. But you can find Dom down the Surf Coast in Torquay, Victoria, working closely with young people to spark their curiosity in the cycling world and helping them build their practical skills. And you also work out of Footscray Hub as well, so you go up to the city too. Over 10 years experience in teaching, he's designed lessons-based plans, developing engaging bike education programs, and has a real passion for cycling. I used to teach with Dom in the western suburbs of Melbourne at a little school called Kielva College. And we actually had some bikes there by memory, Dom, that we used to work on every now and again too. So maybe that was the start of the journey for you. I don't know. Was that the moment in time for you?
That was, mate. And funny you mentioned that because our principal at the time, Julie Williams, it was actually her 70th birthday, and we spoke about that the whole school and what we had on offer and all the bikes that had to be maintained, and that was the beginning of my journey. So yeah, funny that.
And that leads in probably to the first question I'm gonna put to you, Dom. What before we get into your social enterprise itself, what was it that made you get into a social enterprise? You had the option of staying in a school system, you had the option of going into private business, normal business, but you chose social enterprise. What was it about social enterprise that appealed to you?
Yeah, great question, straight off the bat. And I think the word there, Tommy, is system. So when you're part of a government system, there's a certain amount of work you can do. And it is good work, don't get me wrong, like there's so much good to be done in a school. But for someone like myself who's got ideas that sometimes don't fall within the parameters or the curriculum of a school per se, you kind of need to work outside of that. And that's where a social enterprise gives you that freedom to explore your ideas and, get more entrenched in the community and, the mission of what we're trying to do. However, saying that, we're working closely with schools, and there is some power with, knowing and understanding how schools work, enabling us to partner up with schools to better effect. So,
awesome. Yeah, good. And
yeah.
And on what is your social cause for the social enterprise? What does the Community Bike Hub actually do? Not in terms of the trading activity yet. Let's just focus on the cause and the mission itself. What are you trying to achieve in terms of that?
Yeah, so I'll use a bit of a visual here, and there it is there. So we're building bikes, we're building community, and that's for anyone who asks or we get into the conversation, it's a massive undertaking in what we're trying to achieve. But in essence, we are just building bikes. We're providing access to cheap, affordable bikes, and amidst all that process, we're building community. So we're creating friendships, we're creating groups where people can get together, create stronger bonds, and enjoy cycling.
Yeah, okay, getting people on bikes and cycling around. And would you say there's a strong environmental element to what you do, right? Like, because cycling itself is a good environmental activity, but you're also recycling old bikes, which has another good environmental impact. Is the environmental stuff as important as the social community building stuff, or how does that work? Is that important, or is that just a side benefit?
Yeah, so again, very good question. So we've got three values, and again, they're very broad, but when you boil down into those values, three things emerge, and that's learning, it's environment, and it's community. So from the get-go, it was always about that. It's providing access. So there's your community stuff. Sustainability is that we're obviously decreasing landfill. We don't want any bikes, any tires, any plastic parts to go to landfill. And then you've got your learning. So anyone who has ever worked on a secondhand bike, or one that's been pre-loved, there's a lot to understand in order to refurbish that to make sure it's safe. So those three things are strongly linked together.
Yeah, nice. I've got a couple other questions just came up then, and I'm just going to remind our schools that are online, if you want to put a question to Dom, throw it straight in the chat, and I'll literally do that for him right now live. But let's talk about the trading activity, Dom, because these young people that we have watching today are actually going to be designing a business to generate an income, and they're going to put that income into their purpose, as you do at the Community Bike Hub. What is your engine? What's your trading activity that allows you to make an income?
Yeah, so everything is based and revolves around donations. So bike donations. Bikes get dropped off in various forms, in various conditions, and then it's up to us how well we present them, we fix them in order to sell them onto the community. Now, with that, obviously, we need to understand that one of our focuses is to provide access to bikes. So we don't want to make them too expensive. We provide them at a price point that we feel is, gives value, but it's also going to provide us an opportunity to build our enterprise and provide further opportunity through education and programs. So the engine is the bike donations, and without that, obviously, we wouldn't function. So we've got the bikes, there's plenty of them, and most of them end up at our resource centre and not at local landfill, which is a win so far.
Very good, yeah, and I think there's a good lesson in that for these guys setting up a business, because they're going to be looking at, all right, they might have these business ideas, but where do they get the resources from? And what's clever about your enterprise, I suppose, is you're not ordering resources from somewhere and having to pay from them. You're actually getting effectively free resources, and then you're adding value to them by fixing them up and making them look shiny, and then selling them for a profit. Is that right?
Well said, Tommy. Yeah, spot on, mate.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's the model as I understand it. All right, very good. Now, question coming through from Mansfield Autism. They had a good look on the internet, they had a good look on your website, they couldn't find the answer to this. When was the Community Bike Hub founded?
Yeah, good one. Well, it's actually on our logo, 2019.
Okay, so pretty recent.
Pretty recent, yeah, absolutely. And it was it started at the inner west, so there were so many bikes going to landfill and being left in the streets there that we thought that we need to do something about it, and we found some space that was not donated to us but given to us at a reasonable price, purely because we were doing such good work, and then we were able to tap into all those free resources that you spoke about and make use of them. 2019.
And it's just a theme that keeps coming back as I hear you speak, and I just want to keep reiterating this for the people that are watching right now and that watch this webinar later on, and that is the sort of cleverness around looking for a resource, an unused resource that could possibly be sold, for a profit. A really nice model to go from is starting with barely any outlay, which you guys have done really well. I can only imagine how many bikes in Melbourne, in the inner west of Melbourne, would be going, would otherwise be going to landfill, that you guys have gone, no, we got an idea with this. And I think students in almost every school could look at what is being wasted. It might not be bikes, but what is currently not being, somehow diverted, and could that be diverted through the social enterprise model? Yeah. All right, very good. Another one from Mansfield Autism is, and they must have found on your website that you've now repaired or serviced 2,400 bikes in the history. How long has it taken to do that? How long does it take to kind of take a bike, a single bike, and put it through the process you put it through to get it ready for sale?
Yeah, great question. So usually it's around 2 to 4 hours per bike, depending on what's going on. Now, don't forget some of the parts. So let's start from the start. Bikes come in, we assess them, and if we can take parts that we might be able to reuse, then we do that. And then what we can't use goes to scrap. So that process in itself usually takes sometimes an hour, 2 hours, depending on who's doing it. We've got volunteers and our students at Footscray High School who are part of that scrapping process. And then obviously then there's the repair process. So you've got all those parts which are all, like you can imagine a bike shop where you've got all your parts. Ours are used though. We do have new parts obviously as well. And then it's selecting those parts. So sometimes that's a bit more time consuming than getting a fresh part out of a packet, because you've got to assess it. It needs to fit the bike that you're building, and it all needs to work together. So yeah, it is laborious and it's time consuming at times, because not all bikes are in great condition, but 2 to 4 hours per bike is usually what we're aiming for.
Yeah, okay. And that's a lot of hours if you're looking at having done 2,400 bikes. That's a big effort, but amazing effort. So when you talk about just delving into that community building piece, the Bike Hub has a community building, and I think it says driving bike education is the mission as well. Mm-hmm. What do you see as the broader benefits to a community of having bikes in the community? What's the benefit of your input is bikes, and that's for building the community. What's the benefit of that in a community that you see?
Yeah, again, great question. So it's very deep, and I won't get too deep, but basically bikes are the machines that will save the world, and they are saving the world. When we talk about reducing congestion on the roads, when we talk about enabling or independent transportation, so empowerment of people to be independent, and just the ability to work on your own bike and not have to fork out on servicing. The bike is a unique tool. So what we're trying, or what the whole goal for us is to enable communities to be independent and empowered. And by providing access to affordable bikes, we can do that. And by providing education to safe riding, then that's hopefully we make it sustainable. But in essence, that's what it is.
It's that quote that bikes will save the world, Don Zylka 2022.
And they are, and they're actually saving the world as we speak.
Yeah. Although I don't doubt it, and I've heard you say it before as well. But I think it also speaks to how passionate you are about bikes. That you've got that belief, and you're driving that. So that's a great thing for all of us to kind of see and say, here's someone who so deeply believes that he's onto something, that he's out there kind of making a difference with the social enterprise, and and spruiking bikes like that. I was just gonna
so maybe, yeah, can I just add to that, Tommy? Because I think it's important to understand in this social enterprise space, if you don't have a belief, you should have a belief about what you're doing, and that should be reinforced by many facts that some people may not understand. But if you understand, then that's a start, and it's then about sharing that understanding and belief with others. If you look at cycling itself, not everyone's on board with biking. They kind of get it, but there's still a lot of work to be done to ensure that everyone understands the benefits. Like I do, it's entrenched in who I am, but I'm still trying to share that and educate people in what bikes can provide. So just, the message is understand in what your goal is and what your magical power is, so you can sell that to everyone and get buy-in.
Yeah, okay. And really, your social enterprise is kind of almost an expression of your passion and your beliefs around bikes. Is that right? Like the social enterprise is really the thing that you're delivering on your passion around bikes and stuff, which is great. That's what a social enterprise is for. That purpose piece is right in the middle. What you do at the Bike Hub is you mix, and this isn't always the case with social enterprises, and I do make the point with students that it doesn't have to be like this, but you're a good example of a social enterprise that the product, the trading activity, is very entrenched and is very related to the mission and the purpose. So you're selling something that is also very related to your purpose. And there's some social enterprises out there where the product they're selling isn't that related to it. But yours is a great example of one that they're just really inseparable. You're actually selling a product, and the purpose of the social enterprise is also related to that product being out there in the world and all the benefits of having more bikes in a community and secondhand bikes and all that sort of stuff.
Correct.
So that's
So,
a statement.
yeah. No, that's right. And let me add to that. So when we go to councils or when we look for grants and for funding, it's a no-brainer. People, you can't dispute what we're trying to do and how we're trying to make the world better, because it's exactly what you're saying. It just needs to be done.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
What advice do you have, like for young people starting a social enterprise? They're considering cause, they're considering a purpose, they're considering a trading activity, but there's all these other things as well. They're considering, is there any customers for me? What about the resource piece that we talked about today, where you're getting free resources? What advice do you have? What's a couple of golden sort of nuggets that you'd have when you're starting out?
I don't want to share my golden nuggets, Tommy. But I will today. Right.
Come
so
on,
what? That's a great question, and it wasn't too long ago that I was trying to find these golden nuggets when I was starting out. A good 5 years ago, speaking to the right people. So speaking to a variety of people who might have done what you're trying to do, and getting key points is invaluable. You need to talk to people because people have done it, people have learned, and they can share those learnings with you. So getting a network of the right people is crucial. But being clear on your purpose, if you don't have a clear purpose, not only are you going to be confused, but everyone who's trying to help you is going to be confused. So that help might not be as good as it would be if you were clear on your objectives. And apart from that, you'll have doubters, and you've just got to believe in what your cause is, and you've got to stay true to that and stay persistent and consistent and just keep working at it. It might not happen, it might take years to evolve and actually get some traction, but you got to stick with that because that's what we do. We've
only got a year, mate, in this program. No, these guys, these students will be doing it for this year. But this is the start of their journey too, and again, correct. there's no big risk in setting up a student-led social enterprise. It's about having a go, giving it a go like you. And I'm sure, well, I'll ask you, did you have success when you first tried, or was it up to persistence and sort of your own ability to kind of turn around in the face of things not going that well?
So initially I was trying to get this to happen in schools. And there wasn't much support initially because it was still a new concept, bikes. I don't know, maybe it was I wasn't ready to express what I was trying to do properly, but I didn't have any support. So I tried various schools through various ways in trying to sell the vision of what I'm trying to do, but I had no luck. And so that was 10 years ago. And then things happen and you keep chipping away. And eventually you get traction. It's, unfortunately, it does take a long time sometimes. And, in your situation, kids don't have that much time. However, that's the takeout.
They do and they don't, I suppose, but what I'm hearing and what you're saying is you were in it for sort of the long game, but you were also able to see the writing was on the wall. Okay, this direction I'm going, I'm not getting a lot of traction. Why don't I look over here and go, So you moved away from schools, went to here. And these guys don't have a lot of time in that they'll be doing it all within this year, but they do have enough time to kind of be able to do that same sort of reflection and say, okay, this isn't quite working out. We don't have the customers over here, or we're not getting the feedback from our prototype. Let's move it over here. So it's still a good, still a really powerful lesson.
So sorry, with that, one thing I remember is learning that not everyone will see value in what you're trying to offer. So it's just trying to find someone, an audience or customer base that sees the value. And once you have that, then you can build on that. And that's what happened to me. And look at me now, fancy t-shirts, riding my bike inside the house. My wife knew it would be going over, and it's your fault, Tommy. You made me do that.
Yeah, you did it a bit early, mate. I wasn't even recording. But Dom, and those t-shirts are for sale, aren't they? They're part of the social enterprise. You can buy a t-shirt like that.
That's right. And we thought we'd do that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Raise, it just increases our surplus, and it gets people to belong to something that they want to belong to by representing with the t-shirt. So it's cool. Beautiful.
Last opportunity, if any schools want to put any questions in, we are going to wrap up in a minute, Dom. I'm just going to surmise a little bit of what you've said, just back to you, and for the schools, just to wrap it up. If there is anything the schools want to say or any questions you want to put in, now's the time, because we're going to jump offline in a minute as well and say goodbye. But Dom, what I kind of heard you say, and some of the takeaways from today were really around getting clear on the purpose and having the passion, having that thing, what do you want to change in the world, or what is your contribution in the world, being the center and the driver of your social enterprise, which I really loved. The other thing, the takeaway is how clever you guys have been about resourcing. You have an amazing resource that would otherwise go to landfill that you're actually monetizing. You're upcycling, and then you're monetizing that to make your income. So it's got an environmental impact, and also you don't have to pay for resources. Love that. And just that thing around persistence and resilience. And, when it's not going well, it didn't go well for you that, 10 years ago, potentially wasn't going as quick as you wanted it to. And just having the resilience and the ability to kind of pivot and change your thinking and go, all right, maybe over here's an opportunity for me. So, thank you, Dom. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insights. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Meet the Social Entrepreneur, the first one for 2022. Thank you to all of our schools joining in. We do have a question that's just come up. And this is from Wurrigi Primary School. What kind of bikes do you do? We'll finish on that.
Great question. Not very good ones. So a lot of the bikes that come in, I shouldn't say that because some of them are amazing, but anywhere from like little kids bikes, tiny little kids bikes, to race bikes. But our general is like that mid entry level kind of bike, mountain bike, which are very popular, that people kind of start and then they stop riding, or they've just been sitting in the shed and they give us those old mountain bikes. It's usually that, but if you saw our resource center, we have everything, and it's actually amazing to see, because if you're into bikes, there's everything to choose from. So that's a good question. There's a lot out there.
And I actually had a look on your website. There is actually bikes for sale, current bikes for sale on your website.
Yeah, that's right.
And I've just got one more question, because it's from Whitfield Primary School. They have some bikes to donate. Can they somehow get them to you? How would that work? Or maybe you're coming up soon. Dom, you're coming up this way soon, so maybe they can.
I am. Absolutely. So that's something we can work out, but I can definitely bring those back to the resource centre, and that would be a very welcomed donation. So brilliant. Appreciate that. Tommy, awesome. See the details?
I will. I'll be on to that, Whitfield. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, there is one more coming. Hang on. There's one more question coming. Do you do scooters? Scooters are all the rage up here. No?
They are scooters? No scooters, purely because it's just a separate thing altogether. We do have some scooters, but no.
And maybe that was from Wurrigi Primary as well. And maybe what I'm hearing is Wurrigi, there could be a little opportunity there, because there might not be anyone in the scooter space right now. So there's a little niche business. Dom, thank you so much for your time. Thank you to all the schools for joining. We're going to sign off, guys. That was the end of our Meet the Social Entrepreneur this year. Look forward to catching up with you all soon. Last parting message.
Always wear a helmet. Always wear a helmet, kiddos, and parents and teachers. And on that note, ride safe.
Will do. See you guys. Thank you.